Hello friends, welcome back to another class of MS SQL, and in this class we are going to see some important things about keys. So first write use class 1 and execute it. This is the name of the database, and this database we have been using in our previous classes also. Now give this command select asterisk from emp2 underscore 2, execute it. Now this basically is a table that I have imported from a CSV file. If you look into the left hand side under the class 1, that is under Object Explorer, then you will see here I've got a table which is named as emp2 underscore 2. It is a database object. It is a CSV file is there from which I have imported this table. And this table basically depicts all the records of some employees. That is, this is like an imaginary table I've created. I've created random employee IDs and I've created random names of employees, given them random addresses and given them random cities, and generated random phone numbers, generated random email IDs, generated random DOB, date of birth, and random DOJ, that is date of joining. Now if you see here, this is basically a dummy database that I've created here. There is dummy table that I've created here. Now the DOB column is in date, month, year format, and I want to convert it into the year, month, date format. That is year, month, date, date. So what will I do? Update, then give the table name emp2 underscore 2, set DOB, the column name, in the date format. So convert function I have to use, and basically give the format in which I want this column to be, which is date. Then give the column name on which I want to apply this function, and give line code 105. This line code for mine is 105. For other users it might be different, like 106. For some it might be 111, but 105 generally is the one which works for it. So here I'm giving this keyword update, and update what? The table emp2 underscores 2, and I want to change its format, the format of a column, that is DOB. So whenever I'm using update, I have to use alongside with it set. So set DOB in the year, month, date format. So for that I use this function convert. Inside this parenthesis I have to specify the format, which is date, on which column? On the DOB column, and I have to give the line code, which is 105. Now select it, execute. All the 138 rows have been affected. Run this and see the date of birth column has been converted into year, month, date format, and the DOJ column is in still the date, year, date, month, year format. So this also I need to convert into year, month, date format. Then in the next line give update emp2 underscore 2, set DOJ in the date format. So use the function convert. Functions will come down later. On which column I want to apply this date format? Now on the DOJ column. So give it the line code also 105. So update this table that is here. I'm trying to set the DOJ column in the date format, for which I use this convert function, and give the format, which is date, on which column I want to do it. For DOJ column, line code is 105. Now run this code, and all the 138 rows are affected. Execute, and see your DOJ is also been converted into year, month, date format. But if you look into the left hand side for this DBO emp2 underscore 2, here all the columns are displayed here, and all the columns are basically in the null format. That is, they are all ready to accept null values, EID, then your name, ADDR1, and dot 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 up to DOB and DOJ, all are ready to accept the null values. But the DOB is still in varchar format, and so is DOJ. So update is not sufficient here. Like, I have to ready this column to be in this date format, and then to permanently inflict this modification effect, I have to use this code. There is alter table emp 2 underscore 2 and alter column DOB, alter column DOB in the date format. All right, so I am permanently to inflict this format onto the column like DOB into the date format. I have to alter the table so that I am able to alter the column DOB into the date format. Select and run. Commands are completed successfully. Go on to the DOB and on the left hand side and hit the refresh button. DOB is converted into date format. Same thing we have to do for DOJ also. So copy this and paste, and simply in place of DOB give it DOJ. Select, execute. Now go to DOJ on the left hand side, hit the refresh button, and now you see DOJ has been converted into the date format. Go to line number 2, select and execute. You see DOB, DOJ, all of them are in date format, and on the left hand side also DOB and DOJ, the permanent modifications have been inflected into the date format. Now let's talk something about keys. Keys are like the identifiers in a table. A key can be used to uniquely, or you can say a key can be used to uniquely identify a particular row in a table. Like here we have EID. This column stands for employee ID of an employee. Name is for the name of the employees. Now EID I1001. This stands as the identifier for this particular employee, Robbie Gupta. Alright, similarly for Sandy Sharma, this person also has got an EID I1002. So these are the EIDs which are allocated to persons in an organization. So in an organization here, if you look at the right hand side corner, there are 132 rows. That means we have 132 employees in an organization. Now all the 132 employees in an organization must have unique employee IDs so that they can be uniquely identified. That means in an employee ID column, all the values should be unique. 2 people or 3 people cannot have the same EID. If same EID is there, then how will you distinguish between the people, between the employees? So to uniquely identify a particular employee, this EID column basically serves as a unique identifier. Now the problem is sometimes what happens is basically if a person, and suppose a new employee has joined the organization, and with respect to that particular employee, a same EID which already exists in this particular column is allocated. Say I1135 has already been allocated to this person Abhishek, and there is a new person who has joined this organization. To that particular person also EID that is I1135 has been allocated. So it becomes a problem, it becomes a mess. How will you distinguish between them? So you need to sort it out. And also when a person has joined the organization, then the person is bound to have a employee ID. That is some value must be there in the employee ID for that particular person, and that value should not be null. Alright, so value has to be there, not blank. So because sometimes problems happen that by mistake either an employee ID which is already existing for a particular employee, that particular employee ID is allocated to someone else also. That means there is repetition of employee ID which should not happen. And also sometimes it may happen that a person, new employee has joined the organization, but the employee ID has not been allocated and as a result remains blank. So how to call it, how to distinguish it, how to distinguish that particular employee? So here comes the role of primary key. Normally this kind of a unique identifier like EID in such a case can be basically set as your primary key for a table, which poses or imposes some constraints on this particular column EID, where it should not allow duplicate values and it should not allow null values. So under the employee ID column, you must have unique values and also you must have non-null values. That is, this employee ID column should not accept any duplicate value and it should not accept any null value also. So for that we need to make it a primary key column. Keys mean basically when I assign some columns as keys, that means I'm setting up some boundaries, I'm setting up some constraints on those particular columns. So those columns will operate within some limitations, and limitations won't be violated. So in a table, primary key can be only one. So let us see how to do it. Alter table emp2_2, then add constraint pk01 primary key and give the name EID. So basically I'm making an alteration to this table. What alteration? I'm adding a constraint. Constraint means adding some boundaries or limitations, and I'm using what kind of constraint? A primary key constraint, which I'm basically placing on this EID column. So this EID column will become a primary key column, and the name of this primary key I have given as pk01, and this should not accept any null value, and this should not accept any duplicate value also. And before this we have to so by giving this command, it will ensure that no duplicate values are inserted into this column. Okay, and for not null we have to separately specify it, like alter table emp2_2, then alter column EID and give its data type varchar 50. This you can see on the left hand side of the pane only here, and this should be not null, so must not accept any null values. Hit this for execution. Commands completed successfully. Now go for this line. So from lines 13 to 14 when executed, then already a constraint has been placed on the EID column that it is not going to accept any null values. All right, it's going to accept only those values which are not null. And when you're going to execute these lines 16 to 17, then it will ensure that my EID column becomes a primary key column, and the name of the primary key is pk01, and I'm adding this constraint into this table. That's why I'm altering this table, and I'm basically placing a primary key constraint on the EID column, which will ensure that it won't accept any duplicate values. So run this. Commands completed successfully. Now go on to the left hand side of here, and on the columns, or you can basically place it on the emp2_2, hit the refresh button and go to keys. Now see, under the keys, new key has been created, which is pk01, which is my primary key created on the EID column. Now to see your results, select asterisk from emp2_2, run it. See, the last row is row number 132, where you have this particular record where an employee has this EID as I1135, and all the 132 EID values are unique. That's why this constraint that I placed on the EID column has been accepted. If there would have been any kind of duplicate values here, then after running this particular line 16 to 17, it would have given me error, but it's not giving me error. That means all the 132 EIDs are already unique. Now let us assume that I'm trying to insert a new record into this. Insert into emp2_2 values and say I'm trying to give I1135. So the thing is, I1135 is already allocated to this particular person, Abhishek. Now there is a new person whose name is says Sam. A new employee has entered into the organization whose name is Sam, and to that particular person also the same EID is been allocated here, I1135. So there will be duplicate value, but according to the limitations, that is according to the primary key constraint which I have placed on the EID column, this record should not be acceptable. It won't be inserted. Let us see. Name, address, you can give any random value for it. For address 1, this is for address 2 is WQ, any random names. Then for city you can give it as say Delhi. Then for phone number you can give it as 87654, something like this, any random phone number, length doesn't matter here. Then email ID you can give say er1 at the rate xyz.com. Then give the date of birth, say 1987 0101. Give the date of joining as say 2012 02 28. Now let us try to insert this record. So this is for EID, this is for name, this is for address 1, this is for address 2, this is for city, this is for phone, this is for email ID, this is for date of birth, this is for date of joining. Execute. See, error is displayed here. Violation of primary key constraint PK01. Cannot insert duplicate key in object. The duplicate key value is I1135. Because I1135 already exists under the EID column for this table. Now when I'm trying to enter a new record, say Sam, whose employee ID is I1135, which already exists for another employee, that's why this record won't be accepted into the table. All right. So you got to give a new value to it. That is just copy. Okay, I1136. Now I1136 is a unique value here. It is still not there in this table under the EID column. So one row is affected. Now run this, execute. Now go down and you will see that yes, now the record has been inserted into this particular table because I1136 is a unique value here. All right. And let us check for another thing for null values. Say insert into emp2_2 and I'm going to enter values for selected columns or selected fields. So for that I have to specify that for which fields I'm going to enter the values. So I'm not going to enter any value for EID. So by default, the SQL, what it does, it allocates a null value for this EID. So I will leave the EID out. I will give the values for other columns. So those other column names, first I have to mention here like name, address 1, address 2, then city, then phone, then email, then date of birth, then date of joining. All right. And come down here, values, and try to give this. I will make some modifications into them. Control C, Control V. Say it is RAM or RAM, and say the address one is anything. Say Bidhan, and address 2 is center. This in place of Delhi, say it is DGP. Phone number you can give as 87631. Employee ID, that is email ID I'm giving as er100 @xyz.com. DOB and DOJ I'm keeping it as same because different people may have the same DOB and DOJ also. Now what I'm trying to do here, basically I have not mentioned the EID column. Apart from the EID column, all the other columns I've mentioned here and their corresponding values I've entered here. I have not mentioned the EID column here, and I have not mentioned the value of EID column also. So by default, SQL, what it does is that it allocates a null value normally under this EID column for this particular record of RAM. But here, since I have set a primary key constraint on the EID column, that's why this record should not be accepted. Why? Because the EID is a primary key constraint column now, where the constraint is it won't accept any null values. And because by default null value gets inserted into this particular record, but because of the constraint of primary key constraint on the EID column, null value is not acceptable. And if the value is not acceptable, then this entire row won't be acceptable into the table. It won't be inserted. So execute and see error message is coming that cannot insert the value null into this column EID, because by default when you're not mentioning any value for any column, then null value gets inserted there. But because of the primary key constraint, null value is not acceptable under the EID column, and that's why the entire record won't be acceptable into the EID column. So this was for the primary key constraint. Hope you like this video. Please like, share and subscribe, and we will meet in the next class, and thank you.